All right, it is now time for our very last step with our Wimshurst machine. What we're gonna do to start is we're actually gonna take apart the Wimshurst machine just slightly. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to take off the covering tape for this bottom bit here and set this down, I don't know, somewhere on here. And then I'm going to pull up my Leyden jars and set them off to the side. They fell over. That's okay. You can guys see them fell over. Okay. What we've got here are these parts. We're going to keep this in the base just in case we're not glued. But what we're going to build now are the brushes that will transfer static charge from one plate to the other. What you need is your, setup. You also need the remainder of your 12 gauge wire. This is about 10 inches of wire left. If you've got a little less, we should be able to make that work. If you got a little more, that's even better. You're going to want to cut it in half. I recommend measuring it out and then cutting it in half. With the thinner wire, what we did was we bent it and then cut it, but you actually want these as straight as possible, so I'm going to avoid bending it. In fact, I'm going to do my best to unbend it. And then you need to strip off maybe a centimeter-ish of insulation from the end. If you have fully uninsulated wire, like if you went a little ham and got rid of the insulation on the whole wire, then you may just need to, the brushes are not going to stick in securely on their own, so you may just need to tape them in, and that's a-okay. Okay, so what we're going to do now, I'm going to set my brushes aside. I'm going to grab some aluminum foil. I do not need much. I'm going to grab maybe, I'll measure it out. I want a strip that's about as wide as the revealed copper part. I'm eyeballing this because it does not need to be perfect. And there we go. Perfect. If it's a little thicker, fine. If it's a little less thick, that's also fine. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut this in half. So I've got about 2-inch segments. If your strip that you pulled off of aluminum foil was a little less thick, then that's totally fine. And what we're going to do is we're going to pick one of our brushes, and then I'm going to way overdo the length on this brush so that we can adjust it down later while it's on the machine. I'm going to roll up the revealed part on the machine, or on the strip, so that there's a decent amount hanging off. I'm noticing this is floppy, and it's not what we're going to want in the long run. So what I'm going to eventually do is tape this down. But for now, we're still checking the length of it. I'm going to go ahead and do this to the other one as well, which means we're going to need some more aluminum foil in a bit, but that's totally fine. So you should have one brush made for each strand. We're going to eventually put a brush on the other side, but if you have both brushes, it won't fit through the holes. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my brushes, and lay my Wimshurst machine down, and I'm going to try and work it into here. It's going to fight you because it's a tight fit, and that's totally fine. If you need to twist it a little bit to get it to work, go for it. If you need to use pliers, go for it. If you're using pliers, be careful though, because you don't want to break the whole thing. I find that twisting it back and forth helps. But if we're not very straight, like if you see this is pretty actually not straight, bending it straight will help. And make sure it's straight in all directions. Still not perfect, but it should do, hopefully. If your brush end falls off, that's totally fine. We can just slide it back on. In fact, it might be a little easier to do this without having to worry about that brush. Actually, I'm noticing that one of my sides is a little taped up, just from where I got it out of the wall. So it might be a little easier to push it on the side that doesn't have tape. And I'm seeing it is actually going in a little better. Not great, but better. Let's grab some pliers. Maybe you do want to strip these wires. I was able to do this earlier without stripping the wires, but it's pretty straight. Let's try in from the other direction. Oh, that's going way easier. Okay. And then I need to push this wire through such that the bottom bit is actually able to hang over the plate. I'm going to put my actual brush part back on. And this is where we'll test out the distance. Let's get our brush on. I'm going to unroll it and roll it back on. And then we'll tape it once we're happy with it. Oh, it's disagreeing with me. It's okay. It's definitely easier to get these brushes on when it's not on the machine. But I definitely don't want to pull it off again because that was a hassle. I think if you start the winding process, it should make it a lot easier. Okay. All right, so what you want to do is you want to get the length so that it's definitely touching and it's lightly dragging. So I might want about that length is good. And I'm going to cut off a little bit of tape and tape it down at that distance, and then we'll do the other side. You do not need much tape to do this. We're going to end up doing this 4 times, and I'm going to use this piece of tape for all 4. All right, there we go. Taped on, and we're good. Now let's do it to the other side. Going to grab a little bit more aluminum foil, cut it off, cut it in half, and start getting that wrapped on here. Once you've done it once, it's much easier to do again because practice makes perfect. Which is crazy because you'd think I'd be much better at this given that I've done this like 4 or 5 times. But you will be. Right there. Almost. There we go. I'm going to grab a little piece of my tape. Great. And let's tape this on. All right. All right, now I'm going to flip it over. Let's do the other side. When we put in this brush, it needs to be perpendicular to the one that's already there. So if you see this one, it's going like this. So with this one, I need it to be 90 degrees from that. There we go. Oh, this one's going in much easier. May actually be able to leave my brush on the top. I love that. All right. I've got this almost through. I'm actually going to choke up on this a little bit so I don't accidentally knock it off while I'm doing this. All right. My brush is on there. Nice and good. By the way, if your brush is a little bent and it's going off the edge, feel free to just bend it a little bit back. It's totally fine. All right, happy with that one. And let's get this other one set up. I try and just bend it halfway. That might actually just work. right, and we are taped on. Great. We can test this by giving our thing a little spin and making sure all the brushes are making contact. You can tell they're making contact by the fact that they move a little bit when they go by. And if all of them are making contact, you are ready to put back together your machine.